Exactly how that goes.
Anybody who acts up, we're going to find out about you and we're going to talk about you really bad.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
And speaking of this, I was in Starbucks the other day. Okay, well actually, let me get this right. I was running to Staples for some office supplies, errand run for the office. Well, then I saw this beacon of light with the Starbucks, and I said, "Oh, I have to go get myself a latte that is for Christmas in a cup." So I walked up to there, and I was getting ready. There was a lady in front of me, and she kind of looked like she
Careful.
was, thought she was a little bit better than other people. Let's just put it that way.
Could you say snooty?
You told me I couldn't say that. But anyway, so I'm trying to go around this. Well, okay, she looked like that, and I'm not judging whatsoever, but I kind of overheard. I'm sitting there paying for what I was going to get, and then I heard her say, she got her drink, and she goes, there's not enough cinnamon sprinkled on top of this drink. And there was cinnamon all over the top of it. And the poor girl the employee behind the thing, she's like, "Oh, ma'am, I'm so sorry. I'll put a little more cinnamon on it." And she's like, "No, I want a whole new drink. I don't want you to sprinkle the little cinnamon on top because that is not what you were supposed to do in the first place." And her mouth just dry. She was like, okay, I'm so sorry, my bad. She was being nice about it, didn't talk back, nothing. I'm sitting here going, well, I'm about to talk back to her, and I'm not even. And so anyway, I'm sitting there paying for mine over here, all this. Well, so the girl remakes a whole new drink for her. So I'm going over there, I'm getting my Christmas in a cup latte, and I pick it up, and I thought, you know what? I'm totally going to take advantage of this. So I took out our little stickers that we have that say the customer is not always right. businessbeware.biz. So I set it there on the table where, you pick up your lattes and all that stuff. Well, I set it there, and I'm walking away, and the lady comes back up to get her second thing that has tons of sprinkled cinnamon on top. And she looks down, and she just looked at me and glared at me, and I just kind of smiled like, and the girl behind the counter just was so appreciative and laughed so hard the whole time. She was just like, "Thank you," girls the same. But the lady just could not believe that something like that, the customer is not always right. And then she wanted a whole new drink because she didn't have enough cinnamon sprinkles on top.
Well, don't you add the cinnamon sprinkles after you make the coffee? I'm not a coffee drinker, you know that.
No, I mean she put it on. No, the cinnamon was already on that drink that she had, like this frappuccino, with the whipped cream and all that stuff on top. She had the sprinkles. She just didn't have enough of it when it was like coated, and so she wanted a whole new drink. She didn't want the girl to splash on a few more sprinkles.
Well, I tell you, and things like that happen more probably. That's sometimes at this point of the game in our world, it's sometimes getting to be the normal attitude of people that I want what I pay for, and that's very true. I mean, if you go in and
well, yeah,
I go
to an extent, yeah, exactly.
And whenever I go eat, I'm a very picky eater. I don't like mustard. I don't like mustard, mayonnaise, and pickles and all that stuff. I like, if I get a cheeseburger, get cheese on it. That's right, Mike. And how many times, Mike, do you go in and they mess it up?
All the time.
You know what I mean? How
and
simple
besides
is
that, salad belongs on a bowl, not in a sandwich.
That's right. Rabbit food goes in a bowl. That's all I got to say.
Oh, Lord.
But how many times do you go in and they mess it up?
Yeah, but I never make them take it back.
No.
Unless it's just terrible.
Right.
Because I know what happens is they end up losing money on that meal, which means the next time I go there, the prices will be higher.
If it's like small little bitty thing, don't. But I mean, if they didn't read the thing and they just completely ignored your whole receipt of what you actually wanted, it's a difference.
And a lot of times with me, Mike, it's their attitude. That's how you order it. No, I didn't. I said plain. What does plain mean? I can explain to you what plain means. But the thing is, if they have a good attitude about it, it just helps everybody. And I think that's what we need to do. My wife is absolutely the best at making someone feel comfortable when they make a mistake. And she is. And you've seen it, Ashley.
You've helped her in that process, haven't
you?
Yeah,
that's mine.
I don't know.
She says she says I have the gift of mercy, and she's teasing when she says that at times. But of course I get upset. I get on my soapbox about different things in the world, And but no, Paula, my wife is absolutely the sweetest person. When someone does something wrong, she can make them feel good about doing wrong. But that's her nature, and that's how she is, and I respect that so much. But there's been times we've been in line and a customer in front of, just like if that happened to you, would happen to her, she would absolutely, by the time she came up to the person in line at the register, she would say something just to calm them down and just, with her sweet spirit. And she can do that, and I'm sitting there going, I'm still mad at the person who left, and she's trying to make sense of all of it and trying to make them feel better about it. And that's what the world needs. I mean, the world needs more Paulas. I guess that's what it is.
Yeah, more Paulas.
Yeah, more Paulas.
But yeah, exactly. That's an extreme. Like, I mean, the cinnamon was already on top of it, but then they wanted more. It's like, okay, here, we'll dab a little bit more on. That's all you had to do. You didn't have to make a whole new thing. I mean, even the girl reacted great. You know what I mean? She could have said some stuff, and I thought, well, that's on the other end. I think I said something. But so yeah. But then you have the other side where you get what you want and everything, and then it's kind of the point like, okay, your attitude about it stinks.
Well,
and then,
when dealing with a custom monster, the first rule I have is you need to deal with them in the same way that they're dealing with you. If they're harsh, sometimes you need to be harsh back with them. And because sometimes you do fight fire with fire. I'm sorry, all you people out there that want to go out and make a scene in public, and I've got story after story after story. We've got news clipping after news clipping, internet pages, everything that we could go on for. We could have a 48-hour marathon of all the people that have just ruined people's days because they didn't have cinnamon sprinkles.
I'm telling you,
how
it was
horrible.
crazy.
What kind of? I mean, but what the first thing I think of when I see someone like that, how sad.
Yeah.
That they have to ruin their day and someone else's day, and it's a butterfly effect.
Yeah.
Over cinnamon sprinkles.
Exactly.
I mean, there's been times just like Mike and I were saying, you go in there and you get your whole meal is wrong, and you say, yeah, it's I'd really like to have it, and a lot of times, oh, let me fix it. That's fine, but